introduce myself because the rest of the speaker had, I think, the chance to be on stage. I'm Hong Kwan. I'm the Director of Operations for the Singapore Police Force, and my department deals with community involvement as well as various operational responses to challenges like crime, counterterrorism, and many of the different challenges that we face on the ground. So the purpose of the briefing today is essentially to keep you updated on the latest development. As we have shared, this is an ongoing process. We have a major North Star exercise coming soon in the second quarter, and we hope for your generous participation. And I think you have heard over an hour of presentation, and now you may have questions, and therefore we strongly welcome any questions that you may have on any issues, as well as to the various speakers. We'll be very happy to take questions. Anyone would like to start the ball rolling? I think we covered many subject matters, starting from Rohan giving you a background of what happened, what drives the ideology, and perhaps what is the best way to counter it going forward. The police have shared practical issues and measures that can take, and we will work with you if necessary to run through the various measures, contingencies. Jasper shared a more business perspective about the business continuity, and Don, of course, shared a very successful initiative harnessing on the people-private partnership in this whole engagement against counterterrorism. So I think we have covered the right topic, and we'll be glad to hear from any questions or comments that you may have. I see someone out. Please.
I'm Hari Krishnan from International Security Services. We also run a Royal Training Academy, training school for security personnel. My question is very simple. If Singapore were to face a similar attack like that in Mumbai, do the panelists feel that we can handle the situation? If not, what is your advice?
I think the first question is, of course, I think perhaps in the back of everyone's mind, can this happen in Singapore? First of all, from a threat assessment point of view, the best way to stop this from happening is to prevent it, and the best way to prevent it is to interdict the attackers out at sea. So the police force, together with our counterparts in the home front agencies like the Navy, ICA, etc., have worked very hard to enhance the maritime security. Over the last 1 week, you have heard about various exercises being carried out by the Maritime Security Task Force to essentially enhance our coordination and response to maritime threats. And this is, of course, the first layer. Of course, in any endeavor, we can never give a guarantee that things will never happen. There will come a time, perhaps, the attackers can land on shore, and we'll face with a situation where we have to deal with 10 attackers broken up into perhaps groups, two-man groups of 5. And really, in responding to it, what we are heartened to see in Mumbai is really how the community involvement together with the authorities can avert major disaster from happening. If you look at, just to use the Taj as an example, they had about 3,000 guests in their various rooms, function rooms, their F&B outlets, and in the end, 32 was killed. But the majority was saved precisely because of prompt response from the different various security guards, as well as staff that knew what they were doing. And I think that's really what we are hoping to share with the audience here. That really, on the ground, the immediate response that you and your staff undertake will play a very pivotal role in ensuring that the response is fast, while the agencies like the police, the military, etc., come in to deal with the attackers itself. So I hope, while I've not answered your question directly, I hope to give you a sense of how we are thinking about such issues, and we are always committed to work with you in dealing with the eventuality that such things can happen, and we must be prepared for it. Rohan?
There must be a response action plan. Of course, Singapore prides itself in preparation in terms of government elite forces that are trained, that are equipped to meet this kind of situation. Both the Singapore police and the Singapore military, they have created elite units that can take on terrorists who are willing to conduct no surrender and suicide attacks. Because when terrorists do that kind of attacks, you also need specialist trained organizations. In the case of Mumbai, the ATS, the anti-terrorism squad, they had a certain capability, but when the leaders of that unit were killed, the response was not all that well organized. The Indians also had Indian Marine Commando unit that was stationed in Mumbai. But the flaw we saw in the case of India's response was that the Indian elite forces, what you call the quick reaction teams, they were stationed in Chandigarh. And there's a huge difficulty the Indians faced of transporting those teams to Mumbai. Ideally, India should have stationed those elite units that have quick reaction capabilities, at least in the most likely locations in the population centers where such an attack would take place, like New Delhi, like Mumbai, like Chennai, like Calcutta, but they were underprepared for that eventuality. That is why I think it is so important for us to develop attack scenarios and develop response action plans for each one of those scenarios. Unless we are prepared, we will suffer from terrorism. It is like it's too late to learn to dance when you are at the dance floor. You need to learn to dance before that. So there needs to be, otherwise you'll be trampling the feet of the ladies and you wouldn't be elegant in your cha-cha-cha, rumba or samba. So I think that preparation is the key to fighting the modern wave of terrorism.
And I think, if I may, and those who've worked with me long enough know I like to do things in 2s, 3s and 4s, but I think the key word here is not a complacency. And I think your government and your authorities and your police service have shown you 4 things. You've gone to Mumbai, you've examined it, you've looked at it, you've looked how you can make your own practices and procedures better. Fantastic. Not every police force across the world has done that. Fantastic initiative. The second one is you brought everybody here today prepared to share what you've learned, what you want to do. The Deputy Prime Minister mentioned about exercise North Star 7, another commendable way forward. You have planned that exercise and you've taken Project Guardian. So what I think you should take a comfort as a country that your authorities, as exhaustive their inquiries and their processes and their practices are, they're still searching for simple and complex and alternative options to make your nation and your people safer. And you mustn't forget that, because no matter how much we can talk about the theory, you've got to every day look and say what's happening, what is the attack. In Mumbai we saw something different. They weren't suicide bombers, as the professor says. They were attackers prepared to die. We have to try and get through that. When 7/7 happened in London, we never had simultaneous rehearsed attacks. We didn't know if there was going to be another phase 4 hours later. We had to go through a vacuum of time to see what happened and then take some bold risk decisions in the hope that there wasn't going to be a phase 2 of 4 more attacks and another 53 people killed. So I think to answer your question, sir, you should take comfort that your authorities, and I've said this in Australia as well, that your authorities are constantly looking. They're not just sitting back and thinking we've done it all. Because that's when complacency sets in, both from an authoritative perspective as well as a business perspective. And I'm not a sycophantic man by nature. I think you need, and your public need to be aware of what your authorities are doing in order to protect as best we can against these unknown factors. Because I'm pretty confident the next attack will take on another new dimension that we perhaps haven't fully anticipated or understood.